Hi. In continuation to the series of videos that I've made on reading, this one is personal, yet one video that I have been eagerly waiting to, in fact, make. Because in this video, I want to address two kinds of people. One are the traditionalist, and the other, which are the transformationalist or transitionalist, if you can call. Now, why am I using these fancy words? Well, because I want to talk today about two kinds of readers. Well, one who use the traditional books, the hardbound paper books, who I call as the traditionalist. I'll tell you why. And then there are the other set of people who use these ebooks. I personally am a Kindle lover, and this video is definitely not sponsored by Amazon, that I can assure you. So today I want to tell you why I am a Kindle reader and why I prefer ebooks rather, over the traditional books. So let's get started with the first one. Let's take an example. Say if I buy, the book that I'm holding here, this book. Say if I've bought it today, and if I have read it for half an hour, 1 hour, say at night I was reading, I got tired, I kept the book aside, went out in the morning to the office, and I felt like reading. I can't because I've left that book in my house itself. But on the contrary, if I buy that same book, which is in the ebook format, then these are the number of books I've bought technically by just buying one book. So if you see a lot of gadgets around me, it's not for a gadget review, don't worry. Because if I buy one book, which is ebook, so I get it on my MacBook, I get it on my Kindle, I have two Kindles, I get it on my iPad, I get it on my phone, and I can go on in terms of the versions that I will get, because in all possibility there's a Kindle app in your phone that you are using, even if it's not the same as my phone. That's one massive advantage from where I see it, which is anytime access. I get to read that book whenever and wherever I want. For example, if I start reading the book in my Kindle and I want to continue, I can continue that with my phone. I leave it off from there, I can continue from my iPad, and I can go on about it. So that's one advantage for sure, anytime access. Another is actually a critical one. Say you go buy a few books and you want to keep those books, all of those books that you've bought, with you. In all possibility, you'll go create a small library which you might already have, keep it there, one of the corner in your house. But what if I tell you, carry all of those books along? How many can you carry? You can probably carry, say, 10, 15 maximum. It again depends on what kind of bag do you carry. A college bag might, accommodate a lot many number of books. But if it's a lady's bag or a man bag that you would carry, it might not be, enough. You might maximum carry 2-3 books. Now, again, you might counter saying that, yeah, what if I read only one book at a time? Why should I carry all? But what if you want to refer to multiple books? In Kindle, I get to carry an entire library with me just with this very small device. That's one of the reasons why I say that it is a device that can carry many in a tiny package. Even a basic 4 GB or 8 GB Kindle, 4 GB is basic, can carry approximately 1,000 books. Even if you don't want to buy a Kindle, that's okay. You have your phone. In that phone itself, if you download the Kindle app, you can easily have more than thousands of books along with you anytime you go. Now, isn't that an advantage? Another. Now, you might say that, yeah, I don't have the money to buy a Kindle, because if a basic Kindle costs me around 5,000 to 6,000 depending on the offers, You don't have to. I still remember how I was introduced to Kindle. Somebody gave somebody who I knew a Kindle, and that person did not know how to use it. And I'm talking about, I think, approximately 9 to 10 years back, or even longer than that. And all I did was I asked what this was because that was the first time I saw Kindle, and I will show that Kindle there. I'll put up the picture there. And I picked up a used Kindle for 500 rupees. And trust me, that undoubtedly is one of the best investments I've ever made in my entire life, easily, because that 500 gave me a new window to read, and I never looked back. If you weigh the expensive versus the cost effective method, no doubt you might be paying a few thousand in the beginning to buy a Kindle. But the advantage is, compared to your traditional books, the paperbacks, almost all the books that you will find on the Amazon store will be a lot more cheaper than the traditional books that you will buy. I can still remember I've bought books for 20 rupees, 8 rupees, many free. And I'm also, of course, frugal. You can call me conjuice in many ways. I put my books also in a way like how I purchase my clothes, or like how you would. Whether it's Myntra, Jabong, I'm sure you have a massive wish list. And depending on how the discounts are, you tend to pick up those books. I do the same for few. But if I love a book and I know for a fact that I need to buy it, then it doesn't matter what the cost is. I buy it. Many might also complain about this as a disadvantage when it comes to traditional books. That is the feel of the paper versus the look of the paper. Yeah, no doubt. But aren't, the whole idea of e-devices that itself? Because it gives you kind of a paper look, if not the feel. And if you're going to use your phones or laptops, which with the fancy dark modes that are coming these days, you can easily put a dark mode which is a black screen with white text on it, and it's job done. That's how easy it is. And a lot of Kindles these days have the paper white, which is a back lit, which is soothing for your eyes as well compared to the LCDs or LEDs. So you can definitely look into that. Since I'm talking about the feel of the paper, the look of the paper, I also have to emphasize on one of the factors. This is one device, e-devices rather, are for all eyes. Because I remember one of my students, when I recommended a book to him, he was like, I did pick up the book, but then the font size is too small. I think they should have made the font size a little bigger. And because the font size of the book was small, he did not read it. But then on e-devices, they're for all eyes, because you can change the font size. If you want the font size to be like this big as well, I'm sure you can change, but it is all about whether it suits your eyes or not. So it's largely eye friendly, I must say. Wherever I use ebook readers, I often call my reading as reading 2.0. Why? Because picture this. I'm reading a traditional book. Let me go back to my college days. I come across a word that I don't know. What would I do? I would go pick up a dictionary. I would search for the word, then the meaning. But with respect to all of these e-readers, I don't know the word. I just tap on it and I get the meaning of that word. I love something that I've read. I can easily share that. All I have to do is just select, copy, share it whoever I want as a code. Now, obviously, you can do that with traditional books as well. You can click a picture of that and then send. But the ease of use is all out there. Another massive advantage for me when it comes to reading books on Kindle is the highlights. Just like how, remember, we would buy multicolor highlighter pens that we would use on our books. So many times, more than reading, I was so distracted with those highlighter pens that I just wanted to make multiple decors and designs just because I wanted it to look attractive. But with our e-readers, especially with the ones which are there on your phone as well as iPads as well as your laptops or desktops, you can actually choose multiple colors, and that's another advantage. And for the lazy ones out there, not necessarily lazy, but the ones who again want to go the ultra transformational way, many of your Kindle or e-book readers read out to you. Yeah, the voice might not be very, very real, thank God, but they do read out. And if you want, you can avail that option as well. Another reason why I think I, uh, for life, became a ebook reader was the ability to have bookmarks as well as those highlights, those notes that I would have made on my ebook readers stay with me forever. Yep. How many times have we read a book, which is a physical book, kept in one corner, and it's just there, part of our library, but we very rarely pick that book out. But with e-readers, if I've read a book even 10 years back, let's say, if I've made notes of those books, I can easily get that because it's sitting somewhere in the cloud. Not necessarily the cloud above, but in Amazon cloud or in the iCloud, since I use both. That has to be one feature that I will forever, ever be grateful for technology to advance in this fashion. And for all of you who are not really fascinated about reading, so many times I've recommended Kindles only for one reason. Because when it comes to reading on these e-readers, not to sound cheesy, but size won't matter. Because so many times in my initial reading days, I would pick up a book which is tiny intentionally, thinking that since I'm not a reader, I will not finish a big, lengthy, fat book, but instead a small book which is an easy read. But then with Kindle, I only get to know what percentage I've read, how much is remaining, to the extent that it even says how much time is remaining to end the chapter. That way, I don't have to worry about how big or how thick that book is. I just go on reading, and eventually I know how much percentage I've read and I can finish that book. Lastly, when it comes to a lot of you who say that I like the look, more than look, the feel of the book, it's not just to make a point, but there are sometimes things that we need to do in terms of evolution. I remember somebody told me that the reason why I love traditional books is because I like the smell of the book. I like to smell my book and read. I like the feel of that paper. So I said, oh, if that's the case, then you should pick up a Kindle. And when that person asked me why, I said, easy. All you're going to do is you're going to hold your e-reader in one hand and you're going to hold a physical book in another hand, smell this book, and then use the e-reader. That way, you get the best of both. Again, I can go on and on about e-readers, especially about Kindle. But then for you to know how it is, you'll have to pick one. Just like how when you picked your phone, that operating system that is there in your phone, you obviously did not get accustomed to it immediately. It took some time. All of these obviously take a little bit of time. But I know one thing for a fact. Once you walk down that bridge, there's no going back at all. And that's why I walked that bridge long and back, and I'm happy that I did it. And I wish the same for you guys as well. Until next time, have a beautiful life.